Stepping down, Starbucks executive chairman Howard Schultz leaving the company that he founded nearly 40 years ago after he transformed it into a global powerhouse. The departure sparking rumors of a potential 2020 presidential bid, which he has addressed before.
As a private citizen, very concerned about doing everything I can to elevate the national conversation to things that are not based on ideology, but really trying to walk in the shoes of the American people and do everything I possibly can to try and get some real, I think, sensible levels of conversation that represent both sides and reach a compromise on things that are really important for the future of the nation.
Here now is Bruce Turkel, a branding expert, author of the book All About Them, Grow Your Business by Focusing on Others. Bruce is a branding expert. Does Howard Schultz have a big enough personal brand to run for president?
I think not only does he have a personal brand that's large enough for this job, but he is positioning himself perfectly. And here's the fascinating thing. He's taking the page exactly out of the Trump success story. We've already shown that Americans are willing to vote for a successful businessman. Here's a guy who's built so many stores. You can see one of his stores from another one, and he's talking to a disaffected audience and showing them exactly what his presidential bid would be like.
In a letter to colleagues, Howard Schultz writes this, quote, "I'll be thinking about a range of options for myself, from philanthropy to public service, but I'm a long way from knowing what the future holds." Bruce, if he doesn't enter politics, what can you see him doing?
Well, he is setting up, as you've just mentioned, a philanthropic business. He's set up his own office. He's getting involved in a number of issues. He's been involved in LGBT rights. He's been involved in immigrant rights. He's been involved in veterans issues. So apparently, he's really spreading a net very wide for the things people are concerned about. He's got a lot of money, and he has the ability to build an organization just like he built a business. But I think if you watch carefully, what you're going to see is he's really positioning this properly for a smooth move right into the race.
Bruce, we really have, if you look at our economy right now, two Americas. We have, and also if you look at politics, we have in urban America where Democrats are very strong, and then we have a suburban and rural America where Republicans do better. It seems like Howard Schultz would do very well with an urban voter base, but I wonder if he could really kind of spread his wings beyond that to pick off Republicans and independents that aren't in these kind of urban metropolitan cores?
Well, I think that's a great question, and you positioned it perfectly, because we do have these different audiences, or as we would talk about in marketing, these different consumer bases. But again, if you look at what Schultz is doing, yes, he is taking issues that at first you might think naturally would be more interesting to a urban Democratic audience. However, look at what he did with employment for veterans and also for veteran spouses. That speaks specifically to small markets. It speaks specifically to people who may vote independent or may vote Republican. But again, what he's doing is he's talking to a disaffected audience, people who are not happy with what's going on. And when you look at that split you just talked about, a lot of those disaffected voters are in rural areas.
But you talk about a disaffected audience. We're talking now about an economy with a 3.8% unemployment rate. This is an increasingly strong economy for a lot of people, including in those more disaffected areas. So, I mean, it seems to me whether he can succeed is going to come down to how is the economy doing in a couple of years. Right now, it's doing pretty well.
Right, Bruce, even to John's point, I'll just point out in terms of the falling unemployment rate for people who don't even have a high school diploma, with unemployment for Black Americans at the lowest on record. That's what John's talking about, Bruce.
And he's absolutely right. And what you have to look at, though, is that here is a potential, and let's be clear, a potential candidate who, in fact, can say, I had a lot to do with that. Because, in fact, he promised he would hire 10,000 veterans between 2013 and 2018. They've already accomplished that. He said during the immigration issues he would hire 10,000 immigrants. When he got pushback from some parts of the market, he said, you know what, we're going to increase that veteran hiring to 25,000, including vets and military spouses. Those are exactly the people you're talking about. He has been giving them jobs. It doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on here. I think when you look at it from a factual position with an emotional heart at the base of it, he has created these jobs, and he can say that. But the interesting thing is, he doesn't say I. He says we. He always talks from a higher level.
Howard Schultz isn't alone. Let's talk about some of the other business leaders who, at least there are rumors out there that they consider a run in 2020. Disney CEO Bob Iger, Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, Oprah is another name that's been floated, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of J.P. Morgan. What will it take, do you think? Do you think that we will see a business leader make a run for the White House, maybe against the business leader who's our current commander-in-chief?
Well, as I've said a number of times on your signal and on other stations, leadership is the brand. The brand is leadership. And the problem that you see with the Democratic Party is that right now there is no clear leadership. There was very clear brand leadership under a Clinton, under Gore, under Rahm Emanuel. But right now we see no clear leadership. So you see all of these successful business leaders saying, hey, there's an opportunity for me. Now, if you look at it practically, Iger just signed a new contract, so it's unlikely he's going to do it. Oprah keeps saying no, but let's face it, no means let's wait and see. And Mark Cuban could do anything. But I think the more important point is that the current president has demonstrated once again that Americans are ripe to vote for business leaders who have been successful, saying, hey, they're going to take those skill sets and apply them to the country. And we have lots of people with lots of money and very successful experiences who are throwing their hat in the ring.
Well, as we wrap this up, I will leave it with this, that you have President Trump and Howard Schultz who have both been underestimated by the masses, because nobody 30 years ago thought Howard Schultz could do what he did with that company. Bruce Turkel, thank you so much.